This is Bill Sherman. I am going to present and describe a few words about the seminar workshop that I'll be teaching this fall, called Venice, City of the Future. It is a course that explores the radical nature of Venice as a complete reinvention of the idea of the city over the course of its history, with important lessons that we may carry forward. It was a city built in a shifting, dynamic landscape with new institutions, a new culture, a new kind of economy, a new political system. All of these things pointing toward the future and enduring for centuries. The resilience and the structure of the city offer a great deal for us to explore and to understand, and we will be studying this in comparison with other cities, both of its time and in relation to contemporary issues that we're facing in cities. The core of the course will be a series of workshops and study sessions on this history, feeding into independent study projects that the students will be developing over the course of the semester. Why Venice? In part because it represents such an extraordinary model of an emergent urban form growing out of the patterns and processes of life and its ecology. It's one that is clearly under threat today, as we all know, and many of those issues will be the focus of the studio. But for this course, we will be looking more deeply at the history of the city, the spatial complexity of the city, the emergent processes and patterns that give it its complexity and its distinctive structure and form. We'll be looking into the kinds of trade routes and larger regional dimensions that have shaped the city. We will be looking into the more close regional relationships to the mountains and to the land, the kinds of flows and processes that give Venice a distinct form that has been mapped and described in many ways over the centuries. But then we'll be diving into the city and looking at its both public spaces and building typologies, looking at the material reality of the city, the way that it has built itself up as a kind of aggregate urbanism, cumulative in its processes, leading to distinct spaces scaled to the human body and at every level, from the structure of the space to the paving patterns in the stones of the urban floor. Looking at some of the phenomenal qualities of the city and how those distinctive characteristics give it a unique identity. Kind of analysis we'll be doing. These are a few examples from a Venice program years ago, looking at the structure of the islands of the city, which at first appear chaotic and perhaps difficult to understand and navigate. But looking deeper, we find hidden structures to the city, both material and typological, that in both the palazzos along the canal and the urban housing that fills in between, the structures of workers' housing in the 13th century that are related to the arsenale, and the kinds of forms that these take and the patterns that develop and evolve, up to the structure of palazzos along the Grand Canal, which have a distinctive typology and relations to their own courtyards that we can see being based on a kind of material reality as well that goes all the way down to the foundations in the lagoon. We'll be looking at the structures of the islands and the streets, as well as the campi, the central squares of the different precincts and neighborhoods that have grown out of both the specifics of their site, but also the institutions and the cultural patterns that make them, as well as the necessities of life, such as the wells that are located at the center of each. So through the course, we will take this deep dive into Venice, but always with an eye toward the lessons that we can learn and we can apply, understanding the city as a complex urban phenomenon, being inventive in our mapping. The research, the independent study research may be graphic, may be cartographic, may be traditional scholarship, may be studying ways of describing and understanding the city and urban form from an object in the lagoon to a integral part of the larger processes. And again, looking across many scales and understanding it in its contemporary terms. Here, a shot at night of a vaporetto along the Grand Canal under a full moon, giving a image of many dimensions of the city, and that continue to spark the imagination in both literary and architectural and in forms of art that we may describe it. So I look forward to joining you this fall. The course is by permission of the instructor, so if you sign up for the course, it'll appear, and I'll be reviewing it at the start of the semester. If you're interested, please contact me so that we can discuss your interest, and I look forward to seeing you this fall. The course will be taught online on Wednesday mornings, but with a great deal of interaction, both between me and the students and among the students in the way I'll be structuring the class. Thank you.